Yeah, hi team. So I think we can go and start the session. Meantime, if others are available, they can join the session. Let me share my screen. So now what we'll do, right? We will learn the next topic, which is a SOAP API. So till now, right, we have seen that, okay, rest thing, right? That, okay, what are the different ways of rest, right? And what all things we can go and achieve in the rest, right? Now, what is the next topic, which is a SOAP API, right? Because there is a possibility, right? Client can expose the REST, like their data with the help of REST API or with the help of SOAP API, right? So what we can do in the case of SOAP, right? So First, we have to understand that SOAP, right? So we'll go and do that one first. Yeah. So now we know, right? The rest is going to look like this one, right? We will have the endpoint, right? Then we have the relative URI, right? And then request we have and response payload we have, right? But this is not going to look like this one. This is little different. And as I told, right, the rest is the lightweight, right? But in the SOAP, right, it like we have to see or we have to deal with all the existing formats, right? So first we'll go with the SOAP. So this is how the SOAP payload will look like, right? So when we start any integration, right, or anything, right, and when we wanted to read, right, so the SOAP will be requiring the WSDL file, right? So WSDL file is nothing but that web service description language, right? So in this one, right, all the everything is going to be defined, right? What that uh, SOAP will do, right? So for example, right, if I will go with the rest, right? So for if you go with this one, right? So in this one, right, what is our request payload? This is right. What is our input? This was. What is our output? This one, right? So it is like very straightforward, right? But in the case of greeting, right, what will happen, right? It is going to be defined into this kind of message, right? That okay, we have the binding, right? We have the operation, then we will have the input and we will have the output, right? So if you see it, this is the input, right? Element. So this is the input and then response is the output, right? So we need to go and define into this way. So all the WSDL files, right, will look like this only, right? So what we do, right, we'll go and see. First, we will understand, right, what, like in case if we have to read this one, right, how we can go and read, right? So in the SOAP, right, these are the main objects will be, main tags will be there. Port type, types, message, binding, and services, right? So what all it is, right? And if you see, right, if you come to this one, let me just close this ones. Yeah. So if you see, right, in each service, right, or in each WSDL file, right, we will have these objects, right? So here, right, what all things we have, right? So first we have to go and start with the bottom. So we have to see the services or binding first. Or if I will with this also binding and services. So if you see, right, first we have to see the service, right? So any file if we read, right, we have to read with the services, right? What is the service first, right? Service is nothing but a list of ports where this service is available and how it binds to the SOAP WSDL, right? So this service will explain us that okay, what are the ports are available, right? So if I will go with this sample only. So if you see right here, this information it will go and show that okay, what is the service name and at which location it is, right? So this is just information. It will tell us that okay, this WSDL file, right, is linked to which URL and all, right? So this is the information it will go and show, right? And then internally it will say that okay, which binding, right, it will use. So what is the binding, right? Binding tells how the service accepts request and gives a response like SOAP over, right? So it means like WSDL will say like this service will say that okay, how this endpoint can be accessed, right, outside, right? So that information it will show and it will take the binding, right? And what is this binding? Binding will say that okay, what are the input, output, and all those, right? How we are going to look like, right? So if you see, right, in the binding, right, what we have the document, then we have one operation get addition, right? So it means like we are doing that addition activity, right? So that is what it will do, right? Then messages are the input and output, right? So here we will go and define the input and output, right? So I will go with this one, right? Then the next is the port type we have, right? So first we have to go with the port type. So port type, right? Name of the service or start point of WSDL internally, which contains sub-element informations like operation methods and input output of those method function, right? This will say that start of that one, right? in the binding, right, we just told we will have this get addition, right, or addition service. But in the port type, right, we will explain that in detail that okay, this port type, right, what operation it will contain, right, what is that input, right, and what is that output looks like, right? So that information will go and explain here. Then these inputs, right, if you see we have given the messages, right? So these messages will come here, right? So messages are nothing but the input and outputs, right? And then the last, right? So these input and output, right? What type of these inputs and outputs are going to be, right? So that we are going to define into this one. So if you see, defines the data type of input or output, or if we have any custom data type, right? Input is one SOAP message, right? Then those things we can go and define, right? So that is the complete like overview of that one, right? That means first we will go with the service. Like if you have to read any file, right? First we can go to the service. We can say, okay, which binding it will use and what is that address, right? Then, so if you see it, this is optional. So this is a calculator one, put type, binding, and services, right? So same thing, right? Everywhere we will have the services, right? So what will happen, right? We can go and see that, okay, like which is the binding it will go and use, right? So addition service. Then we can go to the corresponding binding. Okay. So in the binding, right, what will be the happening? So binding name will be there, and then it will define here that okay, what is that operation and what is that in like what it will use, right? It will use the input and output, right? But it will not explain the in detail, right? That okay, which input and which output, right? It will just say that okay. So you can say that okay, this is kind of a declaration here, right? That okay, we will use this operation, this one, right? Then we will go to the port types. So in the port types, right, we will go and see that okay, which operation we are using, right? So this is the port type, right? So in the port type, we will say we are using the addition service, right? So if you see it in the binding, we have defined, right, type. The same we will go and see here that okay, which is the type. In this one, right, if you see, we are defining that whatever we are defining here, right? So see, here we are defining the operation, right, and input and output. But here, right, we will define the same get addition only, but we will define the input and output is explicitly, right? So input is going to be the get number request and output is going to be get at response. So here we just define that okay, one input will be there and one output will be there. That's all, right? Then we have defined here port type, right? In the port type we have defined completely, right? Now we'll go to the messages. So we have defined that okay, this is going to be the input and this is going to be the output, right? But how this input and output looks like, right? So that we will go and define into the message body, right? So message get number request, then here, right, element it is going to be, right? So element will contain the type, right? So what is this one, right? So this will have that get number and get addition response. So that our input, right, will be this get number and get addition response. Now we can go into the top to the type, and here that element will be there, right? So if you see it, get number is that object kind of thing, right? We have put right element. Now it contains a complex type and internally it will contain two numbers, number one and number two, right? Same way, the second one, right? Get addition response, right? So get addition response, right? How it will look like, right? So that will go and explain here that okay, it will give the name here, add object, right? So that is how we have. So now if you see, right, if you have to modify anything, right? So what we have to do, right? We have to modify this file completely, right? So because of this one, right, SOAP is kind of a protocol based, right? It means like all those things would be defined here and then only we can go and do, right? So any question into this one, right? I hope you got little bit some idea. Once we work, right, you will get some more, but I hope you got little bit idea that, okay, how we can go and read the SOAP API and okay. Now we will see that, okay, how we can go and use this one, right, into our one, right? So what we'll do, right, we'll go and use this greeting one. So let me explain you the greeting one, what we have in the greeting. So if you see, right, first we are defining the binding, right? That okay, what we do, right? So the binding, right, we have defined, binding name we have defined, and what is the type, right? So type is a pore type, right? So this is the pore type, right? So we'll go to the corresponding pore type. And what this binding will do, it will have that operation, right? So we'll do the greetings activity. So operation is nothing but that activity or function you can consider. And what it will contain, right? It will contain the parameters, greet request and greet response, right? So okay, we got high level information into the binding, right? But in case if you have to go to detail, right? So we can go to the next is a greeting. So this is a greeting, right? Port type greeting. So in this one, right, the operation is a greeting. Then the input is the greet request and output is the greet response, right? So this is the message what we have read, greet request and greet response, right? So this is the object it will tell, right? Now we can go to the corresponding message. So greet request. So greet request what we have read. So this internally contains the element greet request and greet response, right? Now we can go to the greet request and greet response. So this is our types, right? So in the type we have defined the element. So greet request will contain the first name, right? It means your input will be first name and the output is going to be the greeting, right? So that is what we will have, right? Now let us go and see how we can go and use this one, right? Or how we can go and utilize this one. We'll come to the our instance. If you see, right, like if I will try to explain it here, right? So it is a straightforward, right? Whatever we have created the greeting application, right? With the help of REST, right? So what we are doing, right? We are passing the name, right? Right? Suppose we are passing the name, right? And then what was happening? We are getting that output, right? Right? Message we are getting, right? So suppose have a nice day. Right? So this was that API, right? So with the help of REST, right, we are able to do easily, right? We went, we just define, and we have got that output, right? But in the case of SOAP, right, it is not like that one, right? In the case of SOAP, right, we should have this kind of file, WSDL file, right? So what we will do, right, we'll come here and now we will go and define this one to see what will happen, right? So first we, if we wanted to start, right, what we need to do, right, we need to go and we need to create the connection first, right? So we can come here and first we can go to the connection part. So we can go and use adapter here, SOAP adapter. Well, now, right, we are using the REST adapter. Now we will go and use the SOAP adapter, right? So we can say SOAP. Now what we do right here, we can give here SOAP greeting, greeting trigger connection. We can go and define this as a trigger and we can say create. So if you see, right, once we come into this one, right, what we need to do, right, we need to define the WSDL URL. So if it is over the internet, right, we can define the WSDL URL or we need to upload that file, right? So we can say we have the file with us, right? So we can go and click into upload. Now here, right, we need to upload that file, right? So I have that file with me. So this is the greeting file we have. So I have uploaded the greeting file. Now I can say upload, right? And what is the authentication it will go and take use, right? So we can say basic authentication it will go and use. Now we can go and do the test connection. So we can say validate and test. So it will go and validate your WSDL file also. So if you see, right, everything looks good, right? Now what we do, right, we can go and do the save, right? So we are able to do, right? greeting, right? So same thing, right? When we created greeting in the rest, right? What we did, right? We just created the connection, right? We don't need to define the WSDL and all, right? But here, right, we need to define the WSDL. Now, suppose if you wanted to change something else, right? You can go and delete this one. You can download and you can upload the again. In case if you wanted to upload new file, right? So you can go and upload a new file also. So we have created our trigger connection. Now let us come back here, right? So our connection was there, right? Now we can come to the integration and now we will create the integration, right? So we can say application B21 underscore greeting, integration, right? We are creating. We can go and put this into our package and we can say create. Right? So this is our integration, right? Now what will do happen, right? We'll go and define which is our trigger connection, right? So we can go and use our SOAP greeting as a trigger connection. What we will do, right? We can say this as a start. We can say continue. If it's right here, we have very limited information, right? If you, in the case of Rust, right, we are putting the endpoint, right? We are defining here only, right? What is the request, what is the response and all, right? But here we are not defining in the case of SOAP because we cannot go and define here. If you see, right, what is happening, right? Selected port type. So from this, where this port type came, right? This port type came from this WSDL file, right? So whatever this port type will be there, right? So that came automatically. If multiple port types would have been enabled, right? Then what will happen, right? Then that option would have been coming. In this greeting, what is that operation, right? So in this greeting, this is that operation, right? So that option it is coming. So we can go and select the greeting. Once we do, right, what will happen? This is the request payload and this is the response payload, right? So this is the response payload and this is the request. So that is what we have, request object and response object, right? Now we can say continue and continue. So see, are we doing any activity here? No. Can we go and change anything? No. So what will happen, right? It is kind of a protocol base, right? So everything is going to be derived from this visitor file. So if we have to make any changes, right? New logic, new item, right? What we have to do, we have to come here and we have to change this visitor file, right? So we can come here and we can say finish. So we can go and change the layout and we can do the save. What is happening, right? We have saved this one. So we have mapped this one, right? Message, greet request and greet response we have mapped, right? Now what we do, right? We can come here and this is the mapper which came right here. So before to that one, right? We can go and fix this validate business identifier issue. We can come here. So if you see, right, inside greet request, right, first name is coming. Now from where this first name is coming, right? So this is coming from this one, right? So we have defined the greet request as the input payload, right? And what element it will contain, right? It will contain this element and that element internally will define the first name, right? So this is coming from here, right? So we can say that, okay, first name is going to be the business identifier. Now we can go and save. Now what we do, right? We can go and do the mapping here, right? So we can write the greeting message here. So we can come back here. So if you see, right, in the response, right, greeting is coming and in the request, right, first name is coming. So from where this greeting and first name, right? So first name we already seen, right? From greet request it will come, right? So in the response, right, we have defined the greet response, right? So from the right, this greeting is coming, right? So this is greeting is coming. So this is how, right, we can go and read that file and understand that file, that okay, what things will come where, right? Now we can go and here we can write the some message. So we can say create node. We need to write that concat function, right? So either I can go and write or otherwise we already know it. We can come to this toggle function. We can go and find out if we don't write. we can go and search also. Concat. So we have searched, right? So if you say it, this will come here. Concat. Click into this one, you will able to understand here what it is, and then we can go and drag and drop, right? So what we wanted to write here, right? First, we wanted to write hello. Then we wanted to print the first name. So we have printed the message. Then we can write again our custom message. Have a nice day. Right. So this is the message we wanted to give, right? We can go and validate. So it is done, right? We can go and do the validate. Now we can come back and we can go and do the save, right? So we are able to do the simple greeting message with the help of SOAP also, right? Previously we have seen with the help of REST we have done. So in the rest we have defined here only, right? What is the request, what is response? We can go and change everything, right? But here everything is deriving from the this greeting visual file. So we have defined, right? Now let us go and do the testing, right? What is the different in this one, right? So we can come here and we can go and activate this one, right? So we will go and activate in the debug mode and we can say activate. So activation is in the progress. Now we can go and refresh. So if you see, right, this integration got activated, right? Now what is the next thing which we have to do, right? Now we wanted to test it out, right? So we can come here. So if you notice one thing, right? Or if you notice one thing, right? There is no run button, right? If you see, right, this is our rest one, right? If I will come into this one, right, we are getting the run button. But in this one, right, we are not getting the run button, right? So based on the trigger, right, what is happening, right? Things are changing. If I will click into run details, right, what will happen, right? It will again give me one visual file, right? So what will happen, right? We already have used one visual file, but from that one, right, it is giving us one more visual file, right? Right. So it has created one more visual file, right? So what it means, right? It means like this kind of a visual file. Now if I have to run this one, right, I need to call this visual file, right? Now this is on the internet, right? If I will go and click into this one, right, what will happen, right? This internally again, it will go and create one more, right? So if you see, right, we have uploaded greeting, right? From greeting, right, what is happening? It has created one more visual file. So if you see, right, what is file service name it is created? Greeting start request. So we have given the start, right? So that name it came here, right? If you see start, right? What is the port it is containing? So port it will contain the greeting start request PT. Binding it will contain this binding, right? What is that location, right? So visual URL like the location of this one, right? It will say. So it means this is the service. Then we can go to the binding. So this is a binding. In the binding, right? It is having the greeting operation. It has the input and output, right? So in the binding, right? Which type it contains? Greeting start request. So this is the port, right? Greeting start request. It has operation name as a greeting and input as greet request and greet response, right? Then messages we have greet request and greet response. So we have this element, right? Greet request. Then greet request is have first name and last name. That means from our one, right? One more API visual file got created with the help of our OIC instance. But now how we can go and run, right? Because we wanted to test it out, right? So if you said one is like how to run it, here the steps and everything is mentioned. But like what we can do for the testing, right? So we cannot go and test directly here. From here, right, what we do, right, we can just go and do the tracking only. But for the testing purpose, right, what we do, right, we need to use some external. So if you said, I told you, right, we have two softwares, right? One was this Postman and one is this SOAP UI, right, for the testing of the web services. right? So this soap UI we have to go and use. So with the help of Postman, right, only rest we can go and do, but we cannot do the post. But with the help of the soap UI, right, we can go and do the both the testing. So let us come here. We'll go and use the soap UI. So this is like the instance it will go and open, right? So you can go and close whatever it will come, right? Pop-ups and all. So this is the home page of this one, right? So we wanted to test the soap API, right? So what will happen, right? We can come here and we can go and write into the soap. So we can say create soap. We can give the name here. So we can say B21 underscore editing. Now here we need to give the WSDL file. So which is that WSDL file, right? So this is that WSDL file. So in the run details, right? Whatever the WSDL file we are getting, right? The location, right? So that WSDL file we need to go and put here. What we do, right? We can copy this one and we can go and upload here, right? So we give any name, you can give any name here, and WSDL you can go and give here, right? So we can say okay here, right? So this is what we have. Now what will happen, right? All those things will come again here. Binding will come, creating request will come, and then request will come, right? So it means like that WSDL it is going to read and into this one. So when we wanted to test, right, we have to come to this request. So in the request, if you see, right, whatever our input and output, right, so that will go and define here. So if you see, right, the input payload, right, greet request was the input payload, and in that one, right, first name was our one, right? So this is the one which we have, right? So now what we do, right, we can go and enter here any name, right? Because we wanted to pass the input payload, right? So what we do, right, we can come here and for example, right here I can write common. Now I wanted to test it out, so we can say test. So nothing is coming, so we can go to the raw. If you see, right, we are getting the message as unauthorized, right? So what is the message is, right? It means we have not given the credentials and all, right? We are telling that okay, we wanted to test this one, right? But we are not given the credentials. Let us come to the instance. Do we have here any record came? So nothing will come right here, right? Why? Because we have not given the credentials yet, right? So we can go and now give the credentials here. So where we can give the credentials? So here it is the auth, right? So we can give the auth here, and we have used the basic authentication, right? So we can go and use the basic authentication. So here we need to provide the OIC instance username and password, right? So we can come back here. This is the username we have, and this is the password we have. So this is what, right? So this time I will go and do again. So if you said we are getting 200, okay, it means that we are getting that output, right? If you go to the XML, right? See, hello common, have a nice day. So this is that message which we are getting from here, right? So what is happening, right? It means it is working fine here. If I will come here, right, and do the refresh. So what is happening, right? See, we have triggered this one, right? So it came here, right? It means like it is working or it is available. We can go and do this one. So all those things, right? It is happening. So it means like the SOAP integrations, right? Or if we have created any integration in that one, right? We have used a trigger as a SOAP, right? What will happen, right? We cannot go and run directly within the OIC instance. We can go and do with the help of external, right? From outside, right? We can go and do, right? So that is what we have right here. Now, if you see right here, we are getting this message, right? Hello Komal, have a nice day. If you change something, right? Will it go and reflect here? Or for example, right? If I will go and run again, right? So for example, I will run with the Sam, right? Run again. So again, it is working fine. If you see right here, hello Sam, have a nice day, right? It means it is working. If I will come and refresh here, right? So see, First we ran with the Komal, then we ran with the Sam, right? It means, right, it is working, right? And this is how we can go and test it out the our SOAP integration. And if we have created any integration, so based on the trigger, right, the way of testing it will go and change, right? So that we have to keep in mind. So we don't cannot say that okay, always it is going to be like this only. If you use the REST adapter, right? If you use the REST as a trigger connection, what will happen, right? That integration is going to be exposed as a REST API. If you go and use the SOAP, right, it is going to be exposed as a SOAP UI, right? If you use something else adapter, right, so based on that one, right, it will go and behave. So that is what we have. Now let me go and make some changes and we'll see whether those things will go and reflect or not, right? So we'll come back to the integration. So we can go and do the deactivate. Now if you see, right, this is not in the active version, right? Can we go and run now? So let us go and see. So if you see 404 not found will come, right? It means if it is in the active state, right, then only it will go and come. Otherwise, it will not go and run, right? So that is what we have, right? Currently, right, this REST API is not exposed, right? Because it is in the configured state, right? So due to that reason, right, we are getting this one, right? That okay, it is not currently available, right? Now let us come here and we'll go and make some changes into the one configure. We can say hello, have a nice day. We can say welcome to OIC SOAP session. So this is the message we modified, right? We can go and do the validate. Now we can come back again and save. Now we can come back again. Now again, if you need to test, right, we need to activate this one, right? So we can say activate and refresh. So now we have activated, right? Now what we do, right, we'll come back again and we will run this again. So this time if you say it is available, so we are getting 200 okay. If you come here, right, see, we are able to get the changes, right? Hello Sam, have a nice day. We can go and see the tracking, track instances. So this is a new message it came right here. So this is how we can go and create the SOAP integrations and we can go and use the SOAP message and all, right? Now, any question till now if anyone has. Okay. So if no question, right? So I just wanted to explain one more thing. So I think I can go and explain here only. Suppose here, right, we have modified the thing, right, to test this one, right, that okay, how our output look, right? What we have done, right, we have to activate, right? Then we have to go and test it out, right? So it is kind of a big, right? So suppose whatever the changes we did, right, like before activation, if you wanted to make, right, can we go and test it out, right? So what happened? Let us me go and refresh, deactivate. So it got deactivated. I think it is taking time. Let me go and make a clone. Okay, right. So suppose like it, we will come back to then this only. Now suppose right here we are modifying something, right? So whatever the changes we are doing right here, for example, this change, right? We wanted to test inside this only, right? So as I told, right, this is a mapper screen, right? What we have, right? We can go to the mapping from source to target, right? So is this only the one way we can do the mapping? No, right? In case if you want know the coding and all, right, you wanted to see the code behind this one, right? So this is the place. So if you see right here, we have three tabs, right? So first tab is the designer tab, right? Second tab, if you see right, it is a code. So if you come here, right, what will happen, right? Complete code it will come here, right? So what it means, right? Whatever we are doing, right, each and everything, right, it will go and come here, right? So if you see it, this is the place it will come here, right? So if you know the XML and all, right, you can go and write your code here. If you know the XML and XSL, right? So we can go and write whatever we do right here, right? Whatever we do right. So with that one, right, the code is going to be generated. So if you see right, this is the what we have done, right? Greet request. We have write the concat function, right? And we have written that hello and all, right? So if you see it, that whole thing it is coming here, right? Right. So this is how we can go and do this one, right? Now suppose if we wanted to test it out right here, how we can go and do the testing, right? So if you see the last button, right, it is a test button. If you come here, right, and here we can go and do the testing, right? So now how we don't have anything right here. So if you see right, we can come here, right? So if you see right here, three things are available, right? Clear, then this is generate input, right? So what our input looks like, right? Either we can go and write our own input here, or if you wanted to generate, right? So we can go and click into this one. So what will happen, right? The sample input is going to be generated, right? So if you see right, this is the same thing what we are getting here, right? In the request payload, right? So same thing, right? We got here, right? Here. The same thing, right? We are getting here. Now suppose here I will write comma, right? And I can go and do the testing. So we can say here execute. So if you see it, this is the message it will come here. So suppose if we saw right that okay no, here we are getting some extra space, right? So we don't have to wait or we don't have to come here and do the testing and then we will get to know. So within this only, right, we can go and test, we can go and make the changes. For example, right, we can say that okay, this is the message, right? This is the space it came right here. So we don't need this space right after this one, right? So we can quickly come here, we can go and do the modification, right? So we don't have to wait till the time, right? We can say this is the one, validate, come back again here, and we can do the testing again. So this time the space is removed, right? So from here, right, in the runtime, right, or here in the designer only, right, we can go and validate our input output, right? How it will look like, right? What are the things it will go and happen, right? So all those things that we can go and check here only, right? So this is the request, right? In the integration metadata, right? What all information it will go and show, right? What is the first name it will go and show, right? Tracking variable. So these are the things it is available, but those are not used. This is the request and response we have, right? So that is what we have. If you know the code, directly we can go and write the code, right? These values and all. So these are the two different ways. So, and the easy option, right? It is this only, because here also, right? You can go and achieve each and everything. In case if you are good, you wanted to see the code, you wanted to write the code. So the functionality is available. We can go and write those things, right? This is what we have all. Now we have tested that, okay, yeah, this is that only output we need, right? So what we can do, right? We can come here, validate, and then we can go and activate, right? So it means like we don't have to go and do the back and forth to see that output, right? Here only we can go and do the testing and then we can go and see. So we can say activate. It got activated. Now we can say, so this is okay. And if you say, hello Sam, have a nice day, right? So that space was not coming here now, right? So this is how we can go and do the SOAP integrations. We can go and use the SOAP trigger connection and we can do the testing, right? So if anyone has any questions, let me know. We can go and take those questions now. Okay, so if no question, then I think today we'll wrap up the session here only, as we are at the logical point. Tomorrow we'll see that okay how we can go and do more in the soap, right? So we have seen the trigger connection, right? Now we wanted to see that invoke also, right? How we can do the invoke, right? So we'll see tomorrow that invoke connection.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
is
any
this a
questions,
new feature, Prashant? Testing the soap from the OIC itself. Is it new feature or it's an old one?
no,
I
it
mean,
was
in
old
general.
only. No, it was
Okay.
old only. Yeah, so that is not completely okay. So this testing what you are doing, right? So that is not the complete testing of the integration, right? That is the testing of that complete only mapper, right?
Yeah.
If you so if you see right, suppose in your integration, right, multiple mappers will be there. Right? So it is not the testing of the complete integration, right? That is the testing of only this one, right? That okay, what is the input and what is that output it will go. So the testing of only this much it will be. It was there in the earlier instance. In the generation 2 also this feature was there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions if we have? Okay. So if no question, then I think we can go and wrap up the session today here only. Thank you all. We'll connect tomorrow, same time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.